Assalamualaikum and good morning everyone. My name is Ahmad Aiman bin AIDZHAM and today I will be presenting on the topic the evolution of media effect theories. In this presentation, I will discuss three important theories in media studies, namely the hypodermic needle theory and the two-step flow theory and the selective exposure theory. These theories explain how media influences audience and how our understanding of media effect has evolved over time. I will begin with a brief overview of the theory followed by a more detailed explanation of each theory and finally conclude with their implication in today's media environment. To begin with, media effect theories focus on how media message influence people's attitude, belief and behavior. The hypodermic needle theory suggests that media has a direct and powerful effect on passive audience. According to this view, people receive media message without questioning them. Later, scholars realized that media influence is not always direct. This led to the two-step flow theory, which explained that media message first reach opinion leaders and then influence the wider public through interpersonal communication. Finally, the selective exposure theory highlights that audiences are active as people tend to choose media content that align with their existing belief and avoid content that contradict them. Together, this theory shows the shift from viewing audience as passive to active participant in media consumption. Hypodermic needle theory. The hypodermic needle theory, also known as the magic bullet theory, emerged in the early 20th century, particularly during 1920 and 1930s. It was influenced by the rise of the mass media such as newspaper, radio and propaganda during wartime. This theory assumed that media messages are directly injected into the minds of audience, producing immediate and uniform effect. Audiences are seen as passive and easily influenced. A classic example, often cited in the reaction to the 1938 radio broadcast War of the World, where many listeners believed in the fictional story was real. However, this theory was later criticized for oversimplifying audience behavior and ignoring individual differences. The two-step flow theory. The two-step flow theory was introduced by Paul Lazarsfeld and his colleagues in the 1940s based on studies of political communication. This theory argued that media effects are indirect. Media message first influence opinion leaders who are more exposed to media and more knowledgeable. These opinion leaders then influence others through interpersonal communication. This means people are more likely to be influenced by individuals they trust rather than media alone. The theory highlights the importance of social relationship and shows that audiences are not completely passive. It also explains why media message may have different effect on different groups. Selective exposure theory. The selective exposure theory developed as part of the broader selective processes in media psychology. This theory states that individuals actively choose media content that support their existing belief, attitude and values, while avoiding information that may cause discomfort or cognitive dissonance. For example, people tend to follow news sources that align with their political views or personal opinion. This theory emphasizes that audience have control over what they consume and that media effects are limited by personal preferences and psychological factors. In the modern digital era, this theory is especially relevant due to algorithm and personalized content on social media platforms. In conclusion, the evolution of media effects theory shows a clear shift in how audiences are perceived. The hypodermic needle theory views audience as passive. The two The two-step flow theory recognizes the role of social influence, and the selective exposure theory highlights active audience behavior. This theory remains relevant today, especially in understanding social media influences, echo chambers, and information filtering. Understanding media effect help us become more critical media users and better understand how information shapes society. Thank you for your attention, and that's all for me. Bye.